Greetings and welcome to What's New with Human Design, in which we follow the journey of the sun and the earth around the human design mandala. I want to begin by saying that this week we have a sacral definition, so for those of you who are projectors and manifestors and reflectors who do not have your sacral center defined, you may feel extra energy during this period of time. Now, let me explain a little bit what I mean there, which is that the sacral is the most powerful engine in the chart. There are 4 motors in the chart, and the sacral is the most powerful one. And if you have it colored in your human design chart, it'll be the red square, okay? And if you have it colored in, you're either a generator or manifesting generator. And so that's the center for pure life force energy. And so we as generators, I'm a pure generator, and for manifesting generators, and the chart for this week is actually that of a manifesting generator. We have access, ongoing, ready, reliable access to that energy. And so it's part of what gives us so much kind of power in our lives. But everybody else doesn't have that. They tend to pick it up from generators. Well, this week, you don't have to pick it up from generators. You get to pick it up because it is just coming in from the configuration that is happening right now. And this will be true through the next change, through the 28th of April, when we shift again. And at that point, we shift on the 22nd, and then we'll shift on the 28th. And when we do, we're going to go into a reflector chart, which is really interesting. So I haven't seen a reflector chart for us yet this year, so that'll be the first time. But at any rate, right now, for the next 2 weeks, those of you who are not generators or pure generators or manifesting generators, you will have access to sacral energy. So enjoy. Just be aware that you can overdo. You can use this energy. Just make sure that you do rest as well, because you actually don't have the circuitry to hold on to that energy all the time. I mean, it's going to be beaming at you, and you're going to feel it these 2 weeks. But just be aware to you don't want to overdo it. Okay, great. So I want to just wave to the people who are here on Instagram. Hi. Hi, you guys. I'm just learning how to do Instagram. Okay, wait, I got one more. Come on. There we go. And I'll just wave to those of you who are here on Facebook Live and who are going to be watching the recordings later. So, yay. Thanks for being here. So let's dive into the configuration for this week. And I will also post the image. It's on the Maggie Ostara public figure page on Facebook, and it's already on Instagram, so you can go and look at it. I posted it then last night, so if you want to see what it looks like. So let's talk about what's happening. So the sun is in the gate 3. The gate 3 is part of the sacral center, which we were just talking about. So it has a lot of energy to it, right? And it's also this energy, like everything associated with the sacral center, works best in response. So for generators, we work best in response. Manifesting generators also, they tend to want to initiate more because they have that manifesting energy as well. And so what this means is that for the gate 3, we want to use that energy in response. So in traditional human design, gate 3 is known as ordering. And in quantum human design, it's known as innovation. It's part of the knowing circuit. And I love the knowing circuit. I think I have a lot of the knowing circuit. But the knowing circuit is part of the larger individual circuitry. And the knowing circuit is where we receive energy from superconsciousness. We receive insight, guidance, downloads, and so on, just directly from superconsciousness. And so we know things that we didn't learn anywhere. Nobody taught it to us. We didn't read it in a book. We just have this inner knowing, and sometimes it just comes in a flash of insight. Sometimes it is something that comes like through meditation. Sometimes it's just, you know, like if you're writing, something will come through. So it's that kind of energy. And it's actually a really big circuit. The knowing circuit has a lot of different channels and gates in it. So the gate 3 is about this energy of receiving energy from the root. So it's right connected. It's on the bottom of the sacral, and the 60, which is on the root, it comes together and it creates a complete channel. And actually the 60 is defining we do have a complete channel this week between the 3 and the 60. So there is energy coming up from the root, and the energy comes into the root through, you know, from the earth, right? And the root is actually this, it is one of the motors, but it's the weakest of the motors. So it's not a super powerful engine, but it is picking up this earth energy, and then it's distributing it out through 9 different channels. So it is in the process of distributing a lot of energy. And so this particular channel coming from the root up into the sacral, right, we're coming up through there, and the 3 is receiving that energy and is going, so which of these ideas are these new forms, these new ideas, these leading edge possibilities are the ones that I'm going to be wanting to bring through, that I'm going to want to be offering. They are mutative, is what we say. The knowing circuit and all individual circuitry doesn't fit in. It's not designed to fit in. It's designed to be on the leading edge. And so that, I know I have a lot of individual circuitry, and it can be harder when you're younger, when you kind of really want to fit in. But as you get to be older and just more mature, you can just embrace not fitting in. And so the 3 can like embrace not fitting in, but its challenge is needing to wait for right timing. And part of this you can feel because the root has this on-off pulse. That, you know, so that sometimes there's energy and sometimes there's not. And the earth actually has a pulse too. Although the earth pulse is much more regular, much more frequent. But we need to discern right timing. And this is one of the things that you both tune in inside through that, because you have this knowing circuit, so you're going to have a sense of knowing, but also because it's responsive, you want to look at what's going on in your outer reality to see if these new leading edge ideas or waves of being or forms that you've created, if it's the right time for them to be coming out into the world. Because like everything really that comes through knowing, is if you share it at the wrong time or with the wrong people, it either will fall flat, nobody will even hear it, or it'll be annoying, or like the gate 43, which is known as the genius freak gate, it'll be considered like freaky, right? So what you want is your precious, beautiful ideas to be shared at the right time with the right person. Because then, you know, they'll be received and acted upon, right? Rather than falling flat. So this week you want to use the energy of the sun in the gate 3 to embrace and reflect upon the evolutionary leading edge ideas, forms, ways of being, or points of view that you may have sidelined. Like you may have just pushed them off because you thought it was too freaky, you thought it was too out there, too radical, but this would be a good time to revive them and share them if it is the right time. So you want to use your strategy and your inner authority according to human design to discern if it is the right time or not, and if it is the right person. But you might find that this is with this energy of the gate 3, that you can get back in touch with some of these things that you may have sidelined. And even if now isn't exactly the right time, what may happen is that it'll kind of come, you know, out of storage, as it were, and it can come forward into your consciousness. And so it may actually be something that you will want to share soon. Okay, so that's the sun, right? That's the light that is really pouring through. The earth is lighting up the gate 50, and where your earth is the foundation, Okay. If you right, that the earth is our foundation. So it's what our solid base is. So this week the earth is in the gate 50. The gate 50 is on the spleen center, and it's part of the defense circuit, which is a subcircuit of the tribal circuit. So the gate 50 is known as the gate of values in traditional human design, and the gate of nurturing in quantum human design. The defense circuit, which is a small circuit, it only has 2 channels, and it connects the spleen to the sacral and the sacral to the emotional solar plexus. And it's definitely tribal energy, okay? It's all about families, and families being together in community, in how we think of tribes. So this can be families, it can be literally the community you live in, but it can also be like the tribe of people that you work with, or if you're a thought leader yourself, or and you have your own tribe of people that you have attracted and that you work with. It can also be part of an organization that you belong to. And so the 50 enables us to care for and to pass on to either our children or future generations, or if like you're part of an organization and you've been part of it for a while, you bring in new people and you teach them what your organization is about. So you pass on what it is that makes you who you are. It's what it is that makes the tribe that it is. It's the values that we share. It's our perspective about who we are, what we're about, what our priorities are, what matters to us. This energy helps us to define what makes a group into a tribe. It can be a really beautiful teaching energy. I draw on it a lot. I have it defined in my chart, and so I think it can be really great for those of you who are teachers, or are in some way sharing ideas with other people, and you're wanting to support certain kinds of values. Like for me, sustainability, equitability, democracy, these are all values that are really important to me. And so I bring them out in all of my teaching, anti-racism, anti-misogyny, LGBTQ, human rights, and so on. Like those are all values for me. So in my teaching, I bring them forward. And I know that some people in their work feel that maybe they shouldn't be sharing their values, maybe they shouldn't put themselves out that way. They should kind of be more neutral. I actually think if you're if you have your own business, or if you have your own practice or whatever, I think that that's 180 degrees wrong. I'll just say I don't think that's helpful at all. I think it's when you share your values and you talk about what's important to you that you're going to attract the right people to you, so that you can create a tribe, because that's what actually creates tribes, more than even like if you have good content to share about a relationship, or how to build a relationship, or even how to heal your body, or how to build your business. These things can all be transmitted. Content about that can be transmitted in a kind of values neutral way. Not 100%, but I think if you bring forward what it is that really matters to you, and why you do things the way that you do, and what it is that you're hoping to transmit that will enable people to really create lives of meaning and purpose for themselves, that you'll attract more people. So I'll just say that. Okay. So a shadow aspect of the 50, because it is tribal energy, is that it can be controlling. It can try to dictate to others who they should be, how they should live, how they should act, and even to say that the needs of the tribe outweigh the needs of the individual. And so, we're in a dance right now to some degree around this, around what's happening with the pandemic, and with health. We've seen a lot of kind of different points of view about, the needs of the many and the needs of the few and the needs of the one. And so the 50, that's like, part of that is 50 energy, right? It's like, well, what do we think about that? And I think in the United States, which is where I live and I grew up and what I know the best, you know, our democracy is designed to help us try to really dance with those values, where on the one hand, we work with majorities when we vote, but we're also individual rights and human rights are really vital. And so we're kind of constantly looking at the relative significance in any particular situation. And it's a paradox, right? It's a paradox, and it's not always easy. So in this disempowered state, the 50 throws up its hands, believing that either younger people or the new people to the organization do not respect its values, so the value of your generation or the values of the organization as it has been, or it can become disenchanted with its values in the face of maybe negative things that it has led to in the world. I think that we're really looking at this, what are the values we've had that have led to the level of consumerism that have led to the degradation of our environment, right? And so I think we're really looking at that. And the kind of entitlement that we've been operating with, which are a set of values, right? Which is kind of like the world is my oyster, it's there for my taking. That is a value, right? And so it's like, I think a lot of us are looking at that and going, wow, that's not the values I want in my tribe, right? I really want to take another look at that. And I want the values to be more around sustainability and respect for forests and for rivers and the oceans and all of the, billions of beings that live in them, and really, take another look at the values undermining or that underpin consumerism. So the gate 50 is also a fear gate because it's part of the spleen. All of the gates on the spleen are fear gates. And the fear of the 50, and this can be really subconscious, but it's the fear that you won't be there for others in a way that you should. That you're going to let down other members of the tribe, and that they'll suffer. Right? I mean, that's really the key thing is that they're going to suffer. This is a common experience among people who grew up in families that have a strong religious affiliation or a strong ethnic, code, right? Way of being. I've worked with lots of clients who have felt like in order for them to self-express, they kind of have to go against some of the codes of the tribes, the families and the tribes that they grew up in. And so if you are hooked into that, this can lead you to overcommitting, right? Overgiving, suppressing your own needs to the point where you might not even know what's yours and what you want, because you've taken on the kind of the ethics of the tribe to such a degree that your individuality has been suppressed. So you want to watch out for the ways that this fear energy can be undermining you, right? And this is often subconscious, like I said. So you might want to just take a look at that and see if you have a little too much commitment to others in a way that really isn't serving you and is holding you back from being the full expression of who you can be and being able to, for example, really shine with that light of gate 3, the sun in gate 3, which is with your evolutionary and leading edge ideas, right? So you can see how there could be a little bit of a conundrum there, a little bit of a tension, where we've got this tribal energy and then we've got this really individual energy. Okay, so this week you want to tap into the energy of the earth and the gate 50 to support you to review and clarify your values, your relationships, your needs. Do you feel clear and strong in your values and in what matters most to you? Are you living in alignment with your values, or do they seem far away, separate from your attitudes and actions of your daily life, right? Do you have opportunities for sharing your values? And, especially with younger people or with people who are, like I said, coming into an organization or into a business or something that you've been a part of already, and you can, you can support them somehow. And are you helping to share your ideas in a way that's going to seed and bring about the future that you really long to live in? Or do you feel constrained in some way, rather than nourished and nurtured by your relationships and by the people close to you? And are you clear about your needs and what you're committed to? And, you know, even if they run counter to maybe what you grew up with, or even people in your current family, how can you be walking with that? Because, you know, this week, the phrase, I'm just going to read it here for you, is when you are clear and strong and stand on your values, then you'll understand the value of the leading edge evolutionary ideas that you have to bring to the world. So like I said, sometimes that individual energy and the tribal energy can be doing this. But when you can find the tribe or create the tribe whose values are in alignment with yours, and then together you can create leading edge ideas, right? And so that's a lot of what I think is happening in a good way for us as we are developing a lot of kind of new ways of being in the world and seeding the new world that so many of us are really longing to live inside of. Okay, that's what I had to share with you today, and I am open to any questions or comments that you have. I always love to hear from you, so please do feel free. And I would just say, what do you think might be a leading edge idea for you? Something that you may have sidelined, that you may be feeling like, oh, maybe now feels like the right time for me to be bringing this, in. Or would you, are there ways that you might feel a little like that contradiction or that tension that I was mentioning with your that leading edge evolutionary ideas or ways of being or perspectives that you have, and your sense of obligation to or commitment to your family or your tribe? Thanks so much for being here with me today for What's New with Human Design. If you like the video, please give it a thumbs up and hit the subscribe button. And if you would like to book a reading with me, you can find out more about me and my work at sovereigntybydesign.com. Many blessings, much love. Bye for now.